Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is promotedSandra. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to cut and sew this beautiful square neckline dress with a gather around the hip area and also with a gigot sleeve. So if this is something you're interested in, then keep up watching. This particular dress at my right hand side is the inspiration, while this one on my left hand side is the one I recreated. So there's just slight difference between the inspiration and also the one I recreated, and I'm going to be telling you guys the difference. So the first difference you're going to notice between this one and this one is that the inspiration is short while the recreation is kind of long. Just because I cannot wear something like this one is too short for me. So if you want to make yours as short as this, I'm going to be telling you how to achieve that. Then the second difference is the patches around the hip area where the gather is. Okay, you can see that the gather on this one is not visible because it was covered with patches and all of that. So if you check my own, I didn't cover it. I didn't cover it with any patches. So if you want to cover your own with patches, you can go ahead and cover it up. So for me, I just decided to leave it like this. I rocked it like this and it was so beautiful on me. If you want to create your own like this, you can go ahead and add those things I did add. And if you want to create your own the way mine is, then you need to watch this video from the start to the end. There were some silly mistakes I made, and also in the video I also wanted to correct it. So that is why it is advisable for you not to skip any part of this video so that you don't miss all the small corrections I made at the end of the day. So without talking too much, let us dive into this video. These are the materials I'm going to be using. This material is called damask. So I bought about 2 yards of damask. You can make use of any material of your choice in place of damask. Then I also bought this Mercury Mikado. So there's a Mikado called Mercury. Okay, this is how it looks like. I bought 1 yard. Then I bought 2 yards of shiny face for lining. Though I later went to buy doll face. So just buy doll face, okay? Then I'm going to be using this zip for the zip, okay, on the dress. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to go ahead and draft the upper part on my pattern paper. So I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across my pattern paper like this. So this line is going to be serving as the starting line or the shoulder line, okay? I will place my tape on the shoulder line. I will mark my bust point line, which is 11 inches. I will mark my under bust 14 inches and my front half length 16 inches. Then I will come to this other side. I will also go ahead and mark the same point on it, okay? So once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead and mark a straight line to connect the points together like this. Once I was done connecting the point, I will just go ahead and label it. This is the bust point, this is the under bust line, and this is the waistline. So once I'm done, I will place my tape on the waistline. I will come down by ½ inch for joining allowance. So go ahead and add your joining allowance. Then I'll go ahead and connect a straight line across like this. The next line I'm going to be marking is called the chest line or the armhole line. So to mark the chest line, go ahead and divide your armhole by 2, then mark it from the shoulder, mark it. So mine is 9.5 inches. Then I'll come to the front here and also mark 9.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and connect the points together like this. So if you check, you are going to see that I have not marked the neckline, okay? So I'm not going to be marking the neckline now. Just watch and see what I'm going to be doing. What I'm going to be marking now is the nipple to nipple measurement because I'm going to be using a straight dart for this square neckline dress. So I will place my tape on the shoulder. I will divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8.5 inches. 8.5 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 4.25. So I'll go ahead and mark that 4.25 on the shoulder line. Then I also come to the down and mark it on the hemline. So once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead and connect the points together like this. So for you, go ahead and divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and mark it on the shoulder line and also on the hemline. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to take the shoulder dart. So I'll place my tape on the shoulder nipple to nipple line like this. I will mark 2.5 inch inward. Okay, this is called a straight dart. So I'll mark 2.5 inches inward. So if you have a small bust, go ahead and mark 1.5 inch or 2 inches. So I will connect a slant line or a curved line like this from the shoulder to the bust point line. Okay, to the bust point line, I will stop there. So once I'm done marking it, I will come to the under bust line. I will place my tape like this. I will take my darts. I will mark 1.5 inch inward. Then I will come to the hemline. I will also mark 1.5 inch inward. So if your bust is small, go ahead and mark 1 inch. Then I'll place my tape on the bust point line. I will come down by 1 inch like this. Then I'll go ahead and connect a curve line from that 1 inch to the under bust point. Then I'll just go ahead and blend this part in like this. Then I'll go ahead and mark a straight line from the under bust to the waistline. Then I'll curve this part to remove the sharp edge. Then I'll come to the center front. I will mark 1/2 inch to the center front. Then I also mark 1/2 inch at the down. Then I'll go ahead and curve it from the bust point to the under bust and from the under bust to the waistline. I hope you guys understand. Then I'll also go ahead and blend this part. Okay. So once I'm done, I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. Go ahead and cut through the 1/2 inch allowance you added. Just cut it out. Then I'll go ahead and cut out this part. Please pay attention to what I'm doing because I made some mistakes and I'm going to be correcting it in this video, so pay attention. So once I'm done cutting it out, I'll go ahead and place this center front to the side front like this. Just make sure all the line aligns. Okay, just go ahead and place it. Once you're done arranging it, go ahead and use your pin to secure it. Pin it together. Then I'll place my tape on the shoulder line like this. Just watch out what I'm going to be doing. So I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. So once I'm done marking it, I will come to the chest line. I will mark that same 8 inches. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect a straight line across like this. So after connecting it, I will place my tape on the shoulder line. I will come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope like this. So once I'm done connecting it, I'll go ahead and mark a slant line to anywhere on the shoulder. Just go ahead and mark a slant line in. Then I'll place my tape on the armhole. I will fold my tape into 2 and mark the midpoints like this. So after marking the midpoint, I will go in by 1/2 inch to remove the bust bulge. Then I'll place my tape on the chest line. I will divide my bust by 4. I will mark it, which is 10 inches. Then I'll go ahead and connect the armhole. Then I'll place my tape on the under bust line. I will divide my under bust by 4. I will mark it. Then I will divide my waist measurement by 4. I will also mark it. So once I'm done, I'll go ahead and use my French curve to connect the points together like this. So if you don't know how to take the under bust measurement and the waist measurement, then you need to pay for my beginners online class to learn all of that. So you should already know how to do this. Then I'll go ahead and add 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. So I will add it on the chest line, on the under bust line, and also on the waistline. Then I'll go ahead and use my marker to connect it like this. Then I'll go ahead and extend I'll go ahead and mark this part. So once I'm done marking it, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to take the side dart or the bust dart. To mark the side dart, you are going to minus your back half length from your front half length measurement. So whatever you have left is what you're going to be using to take the side dart. So for me, the front half length is 16 inches and the back is 40 inches. So 16 minus 14 is going to give me 2. So the difference between my front half length and the back half length is 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and place my tape on the bust point line like this. I will mark 2 inches downward. So once I'm done marking it, I will just go ahead and remove the pin and separate the side front from the center front. So I'll go ahead and mark a slant line from this point here to that 2 inches I mark on the side. So I'll use my straight ruler to mark a slant line like this. If you don't understand what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing, you understand. Then I'll also go ahead and mark the bust point line just to make it more visible. So once I'm done, this is the part I'm going to be closing. Then I'll go ahead and cut out the side like this. So after cutting the side, I'll go ahead and cut out this part. So don't cut out everything, just cut it close to the tip. Then once you're done cutting it, go ahead and lift the down part to cover the dart. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and use my seal tape to seal it down like this. If you don't understand what I just explained, go ahead and watch what I'm doing. Okay, pay attention to what I'm doing. By the time you are done closing the dart, you're going to see that the lines are no longer going to be the same. So go ahead and reshaping it again. Okay, So by the time I'm done reshaping it, I'll just go ahead and arrange it. This is the center front and the side front. So what I'm going to be doing now is to extend the armhole to the shoulder like this, because I'm not going to be cutting that part yet. So I'll just go ahead and cut the armhole like this. Like, watch what I'm doing and watch the part I am cutting, okay? Then I'll go ahead and cut at this small excess at the shoulder like this. Remember, I did not cut this shoulder slant. I'm done drafting the front. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to draft the back. So I'll just go ahead and use another play paper for the back. So I'll mark 1.5 inch like this, just like as you can see me doing. I'll mark 1.5 inch inward for zipper allowance. Then once I've done marking it, I'll go ahead and connect a straight line across. Then I'll mark a straight line like this for shoulder allowance. Then I will label this part zipper allowance. I will place my tape on the shoulder line. I will mark my chest line, which is 9.5 inches. That is, divide your armhole by 2 and mark it. Then I'll mark my back half length, which is 14 inches. I will repeat the same thing on this other side. Then I'll mark a straight line across like this. So my back half length is 14 inches. So once I'm done, I will label it chest line and back half length, okay, which is waistline. So I'll place my tape on the waistline. I will add ½ inch for joining allowance, just like as I did for the front. Then I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across like this. So I will label it. This is the allowance. So what I'm going to be doing is to mark half of my shoulder measurement on the chest line and also on the shoulder line like this. I will come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope. Then I will mark it inward like this, just like as I did for the front. Then I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across like this from the shoulder to the chest line. So once I'm done, I will divide my bust measurement by 4. I will mark it. My bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. I will mark it on the chest line. Then I'll go ahead and connect the back armhole like this. Then I'll come to the waistline. I will divide my waist measurement by 4. I will mark it. Then I'll go ahead and connect the waistline like this. Then I will add 1.5 inch for joining allowance, just like as I did for the front. Then I'll go ahead and reconnect it using my marker to make it more visible. Then I'll go ahead and extend the armhole like this. So this is it for the back. So for the back, I will not add that. I'm not going to be adding that. So on the waistline, I will mark 0.7 inches to the zipper allowance. Watch how I am placing my tape. I will mark 0.7 inches like this. Then I will just go ahead and extend the shoulder line to the zipper allowance. I will mark a slant line from the top to that 0.7 inches I mark. Okay, there's no special measurement for that. Just go ahead and mark it from anywhere to that 0.7 inches. Then I will extend the line like this. So once I'm done, I'm going to be cutting out this part. I will just go ahead and cut out the armhole, the side, the down, and also the um zip SSs at the back. I hope you guys understand. So once I'm done cutting it, I'm done with the back. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut the skirt part. Please pay attention to what I'm about to do. So I'll just go ahead and mark a straight line across my pattern paper, which is going to be serving as the waistline. So from that waistline, I will mark 1.5 inch inward for zipper allowance. So I'm going to be using this pattern paper for both the front and the back. So once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across. So this is the zipper allowance. So I'm going to be placing the upper part that I just finished drafting. That is the back part of the upper part. I'm going to be placing it on the waistline of the skirt, okay, like this. So just make sure the zipper line aligns, okay. Then I'll go ahead and mark this point here like this at the back. So what you can also do is to mark 0.75 inches, just like as you did for the upper part. This is to remove zip bulge. Then I'll go ahead and mark a slant line from that point to anywhere. This is to remove zip bulge. So I have a well detailed tutorial on how to do this. Then I'll go ahead and close the zipper allowance like this. Just like as I earlier said, I'm going to be using this pattern paper to cut for both the back and the front. So if you don't know how to do this, go ahead and pay for my beginners online class and learn all of those things. So once I'm done closing it, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to start taking my measurements. So I'll place my tape on the waistline. I will divide my waist measurement by 4. I will mark it like this. Then I will place my tape on the waistline. I will mark my hip line, which is 10.5 inches. So go ahead and mark your hip line. So once I'm done marking it, I will mark a straight line across like this. Then I will label it hip line. So I will place my tape on the waistline before I will mark the full length of the gown. So I'll first of all go ahead and minus my half length, which is 60 inches, minus it from the tape. Then go ahead and mark the full length of your dress. So this part, I made a whole lot of mistakes, so you need to pay attention. So I wanted to mark 40 inches because that is the length of the gown I want to make. Then I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across and label it. Then, just like as I already did on the waistline, I divided my waist measurement by 4. I marked it. So after I was done marking it, I will come to the hip line. I will divide my hip measurement by 4. I will mark it. So I will measure what I have in total here. Whatever I have in total, I came down to the hemline and I minus 1 inch from whatever I have on the hip line. I marked it on the hemline. So after I was done marking it, I went ahead to connect the point from the hip line to the hem and from the waistline to the hip line. So this is the correction. Please, at the down part, go ahead and mark whatever you have on the hip line or the hemline. Don't minus any 1 inch. Take note of that first. Don't minus any 1 inch. Then on the hemline, which is this down part, I wanted to add extra 1 inch because that is how wide I want the down to be. I wanted to add extra 1 inch. So for you, go ahead and mark 2 inches or 1.5 inch. Don't mark 1 inch. Then on the hip line, I came down by 3 inches. I marked 3 inches downward. Then from there, I went ahead to mark a slant line to meet that 1 inch I mark on the hemline. So for you, please mark a slant line from the hemline straight to the hip line. Don't come down by any 3 inches. Take note, don't come down by any 3 inches. Then once I was done, I'll go ahead and clean this first part so that I will not get confused. So go ahead and mark a slant line like A-shaped line from the hip line to the hemline. So from the hemline, I placed my tape like this and I marked 5 inches upward, 5 inches. Please pay attention because when I was sewing it, I did something different, okay? So that is something I want you guys to really pay attention to. So I marked 5 inches upward like this. So after I was done marking it, I went ahead to use my French curve to mark a curve line from that 5 inches to the hem at the side. Can you see how I curved it to the side? So from that 5 inches I marked, I also went up by ½ inch again. Then I went ahead to reconnect it. So just, you can go ahead and mark 5.5 inches upward, but I'm still going to be telling you what to do when I want to sew it. Okay. So I wanted to make it more visible with my marker. Then I will just go ahead and add sewing allowance, which is 1.5 inch, because that is what I added on the half length at the top. So just go ahead and add 1.5 inch on the waistline, hip line, and also on the hemline. Okay, then I'll go ahead and use my French curve to connect everything like this. So after connecting it, I'll just go ahead, ignore the way I am marking it, okay, from the hip to the 3 inches. Just ignore it. For you, just go ahead and mark a slant line from the hip line to the hemline straight. Then once I was done marking it like this, I'll just go ahead and mark the down like this. Okay, remember I said I'm going to be using this pattern for both the up and the back. So this is the front part. Then I'll go ahead and make the hemline more visible because this is going to be serving as the back part. Okay, so once I was done labeling it, I will come to the waistline. I will add 1 inch for that intake. So I'm only going to be adding that to the back part of the skirt. I'm not going to be adding that to the front. I don't like adding that to the front. That is why I wanted to add 1 inch for the dart. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. Please watch the part I am cutting at and see how I am cutting it, please. So once I was done cutting it out like this, I'll go ahead and label the upper part 1 and 2. Then I'll go ahead and fold my fabric, that is the lining. I'll go ahead and fold it into 2 and iron it. So go ahead and fold your lining into 2 and iron it. Then I'll go ahead and place the first part on it like this, which is the center front. I'll go ahead and add ½ inch for joining allowance, just like as you can see me doing. Then I'll go ahead and connect the points together. So go ahead and take your time to do this. I already added joining allowance at the down, so just add around the side and also at the top. So when I was cutting it, I forgot to add at the top, but when I was cutting on the main fabric, I added. So go ahead and add on your own. So once I was done cutting it, I'll go ahead and place the side front and add half-inch round for joining allowance like this on the front part and also on the shoulder as well. The only part you're not going to be adding is the down because you've already added half-inch at the down before. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out like this, just like as you can see me doing. So take your time and do this. So once I was done cutting it, I will place the back. I will add half-inch for joining allowance around the top. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. So after I was done, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to go ahead and cut out the skirt part. So just watch what I'm doing. Go ahead and fold your fabric into two and iron it. Then go ahead and open up the zipper allowance on your pattern paper like this. Place it on your fabric, pin it, then using your pin, then go ahead and cut it out. So if you check, you're going to see that I did not cut through the line I mark on the waistline. Just go ahead and cut through the normal line, okay? So I'll go ahead and cut it out like this. After I was done cutting it out, then I went ahead to cut out for the front. So I went ahead to cut out this down part, okay? From here, I went ahead to cut it out. That part didn't really show in this video. So after I was done cutting it out, I also went ahead to cut out the side, which is the dart intake. This 1 inch I later added. I went ahead to cut it out. Then I will just go ahead and use the remaining parts to cut out for the front, okay? Like this. So after I was done cutting it out, then I'll go ahead and cut out on my main fabric just like this. So go ahead and fold your fabric into two, iron it, and use your lining to cut out on the main fabric, okay? Just like this. So my lining and my pattern paper is still together. This is just me cutting it out. So after I was done cutting it out, this is how it looked like, as you can see. So once I was done, I went ahead to remove the pattern paper from the fabric or from the material. So what I'm going to be doing now is to go ahead and use this pattern paper to cut out my breast tube. So I'll place my tape on the shoulder line. I will come down by how deep I want the square neckline at the front to be. Okay, so I want the deepness of my square neckline to be 6.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark 6.5 inches like this. So after marking it, I will mark a straight line across like this on my pattern paper. Then I'll go ahead and join the side to it and extend the line to the side like this. Then I'll go ahead and cut out. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out just like as you can see me doing. So after I was done cutting it, I will come to the under bust line. I will come down by 1 inch. Then I'll go ahead and cut out the remaining one like this. Then for the side front, I will place my tape on this line I just marked. I will mark 3 inches inward. Then I'll come to the under bust. I'll mark 3 inches as well. Then I'll go ahead and use my French curve to connect a curved like this. Then I'll place this center front on it like this. I'll go ahead and extend the down part to the side front like this. So after connecting it, I'll go ahead and cut it out. Just watch out the part I am going to be cutting out, okay? After I was done cutting it out, I'll go ahead and use the pattern paper to cut out my breast tube. So I'm going to be using this lightest breast tube. It is so soft and so light. I'll fold it into two. I'll place my pattern paper on it like this. I will cut it out. So when you want to cut it out, please go ahead and add 1 inch at the side for joining allowance. Okay, remember you added joining allowance on your material. So if you don't add that 1 inch or half inch, you are going to have shortage after cutting it out. So go ahead and add it only on the side. The reason why I advise you to add 1 inch at the center front, okay, that is the side of the center front, is because by the time you are done gumming it on your fabric, if it's too wide, you can go ahead and trim out the excesses. So I'm going to be stopping here. On my next video, I'll be showing you guys how to sew it. I hope this tutorial was really helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, share with your friends, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. Bye.